Welcome back to Cheche, the program where opinion counts, live on Citizen TV. Senator Yusuf Haji of Garissa chairs the Senate Security Committee. He's also a former defense minister and acted as internal security minister. And so to broaden the conversation on insecurity, we're told, the president has told us in various glossy advertisements that security begins with us. We will have CCTV cameras everywhere. Terrorists, you can run but not hide. But we've seen women being stripped, sexually assaulted, and the violations recorded and shared over social media, over the internet. No one intervened. With the terrorists, they cross into Kenya. If we're fortunate, 1 or 2 reports. But the same thing, no action, no follow-up. For instance, Mpeketoni, when it was under attack, phone calls for help. But the attack went on for hours, no response. What is this saying about us as a country?
Thank you very much. In the first place, I think there's no miracle in dealing with the security. And you very rightly quoted what the president said, that security matter is for you and for all of us. And that's why I said during my earlier talk that involvement of local people in the security issue is very crucial and very, very important. As you very rightly said, there's a very bad wind and bad omen on security issue in this country. For people to go and strip ladies naked, it is not only taboo, uncultural, unreligious, unacceptable. We need to find out that the people who are doing this are the youth. Who brought up this youth? They were brought up by us. And if we don't, teach them, show them to be morally upright, this kind of a behavior will happen. And
they're
also
stripping women, they're sexually assaulting them,
women,
recording
youth,
the violations.
Yes.
It's youth, as you say.
Yes.
The same youth who are being radicalized and coming back and killing us.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And there seems to be, in both scenarios, the MO is the same, but the response is also the same, which is we throw our hands up, we complain, we hold demonstrations, nothing is done.
Well, the demonstration will not help at all, because you are demonstrating to tell people what they already know. The security is known by everybody, including the people who are in charge. What is really hurting or annoying is the aftermath. After something happens, they keep on saying, we knew we were going to do A, B, C, D. Why haven't they done that? Is the question. The question of radicalization now in Mombasa, people are talking about the closure of mosques. You see? We should not have gone to that extent if the government was going to do what is expected of us, of them. Why can't Muslim youth be recruited into the service in a clandestine manner? Let them go and pray with these people so that they know what is happening. Nobody should not, even if it means paying them their salary at night, take them to the sea, you have ships there. You pay their salary so that they are not recognized by anybody. In that way, you are dealing with them, the tactics that they're using to be able to get the information. You see, by closing the mosque, I think you are only going to help radicalize more people. You can see the leaders there up in arms, which I don't agree with. They should have also played their role by going home to home, you see, talking to parents to give names of their children who have been involved in this. Because the parents know. Yeah. Who doesn't know what your son or daughter is doing?
But these same parents, we see them on television when something happens saying, that was not my child child has never been involved in this sort of thing. And which parent really will agree to the fact that their child might be guilty of such egregious acts of violence?
If religious people, elders, and responsible people go and assure these people, the parents, they are assured that there will be no repercussion against them. And their children will be rehabilitated if they give up what they are doing. I think we can make a headway in dealing with this radicalization.
Is it, let's look at the broader picture. I mean, you said the Senate is helpless. I mean, you also have a closed session, special session to discuss insecurity, and that ends there. Mm-hmm. Is that all that the Senate can do? Mm-hmm. I mean, of course, you can ask for more resources. Mm-hmm. You can demand certain things, and you can hold the government to do the things that we are talking about. Mm-hmm. Is it that our leaders are also just compromised because they don't want to put pressure to get things done?
Well, in the first place, you know, the budget is done in the National Assembly. And the county, and the Senate only deals with the county resources, which is given to the governors and the county governments.
Yeah.
I don't think it is lack of resources, as I said earlier. How many police officers have we recruited since NAC came into power? There are over 15,000 police and AP. That is the resources which have been used.
Yeah.
You know, so many vehicles have been bought, others are being hired.
Yeah. So it's about the people working with the communities
the people
to get
who are working
to fix
with the community to fix the problem.
Although, of course, resources is still a problem.
Yeah.
That must be
It cannot be that serious. You compare what we were in 1964, 65, 67, during the SIFT aftermath. We managed. But it is question of commitment by the people.
Farah Maalim was here
Yes.
twice, and he had made this assertion that this government is not interested in ending Al-Shabaab because of political reasons, because of affiliation with America. Is that your view?
No, that is totally wrong. The Americans are fighting Al-Shabaab, they are killing them every other day. And Kenya cannot be used by America. We don't, advance the American interest. They have put an embargo on us, traveling to tourists coming here. There's no way the Kenya government can cooperate with them not to end Al-Shabaab. The intention is there, but the modality of ending Al-Shabaab infiltration into Kenya is still lacking.
Why are our soldiers in the coast of southern Somalia and not at the border? Why can't we have a buffer so that we don't have Al-Shabaab walking to Mandera?
Well, the original idea was to push them as far as you can.
Exactly.
That has been achieved for some times.
What about this?
But now, they are also finding other means of infiltrating the country. We should be able to confront and know those tactics that they are using by putting officers on foot patrolling. You don't have to wait until something happens, then you rush. You see?
You're quite right about the reactive responses we have. You've given us some, variety of interventions to be taken. I'll remind our listeners, I'm sure we all know, but you're the father of the Westgate hero, Abdul Hajj. We saw your son go in to rescue his brother, who thankfully had already been rescued. We saw him stay to help with the rescue effort. I will go back to the issue of women being violated and the response, because it seems on the one hand that there seems to be a disconnect between the levels of terror. We see terrorism as extremists coming in from Somalia, but not necessarily our own people inflicting all sorts of violence and humiliation on us. How do you address that disconnect? Do you think there's a disconnect?
There is a disconnect, and this one we cannot blame only the government. We have to blame ourselves. As I said earlier, stripping is being done by young men. Raping is being done by young men to small girls and even grown-up women. And these children are the ones we have brought them up. So we need to go back to the drawing board. Since they are still our children, try to educate them on the need for them to be respectful to their mothers and sisters. Because would they have been happy to see their mother being stripped in the street, or their sister? Definitely not. If that is the case, they should consider all ladies to be their sisters and mothers.
David,
you know, we have a saying in my community, if you find your mother or sister sitting in a bed posture, you don't tell her in front of people you are sitting naked. You tell her, come, stand. When she stands there, you have already corrected
the situation.
You see, that is what should be happening.
David, you seem to be frowning around that issue. Do you see a disconnect?
Well, no, I think
the
that
levels?
I don't want to ascribe too much to what I would call petty offenses.
Petty offenses?
Yes.
Women being stripped, sexually violated?
I mean, those are
the
offenses.
violations being recorded and shared on social media. Those are petty offenses.
Petty because they're not premeditated. They're not pre-planned. They happen on the spur of the moment. Somebody with a criminal tendency or temptation to commit acts that are not allowable in society does that on the spur, on the knee jerk. That's why I'm calling them petty. They're not organized in a systemic crime. People, confronting a lady who is scantily dressed and, roughing
or
her
not,
up.
as you did the newspaper review
whichever,
this morning.
Really, I wouldn't put that in the bigger scope of the crimes that we...
Insecurity.
In this insecurity framework that we're looking at, really. The insecurity we're looking at are organized gangs, and they're all over this country. I mean, within the city, in bus stages, in estates, they are hired. They're guns for hire. Gangs for hire in this country. And some, in fact, people think some of those gangs are police-led, that are eliminating people. I mean, the crime that we need to deal with in this country is really deep-seated. And perhaps I would like to ask,
just a minute. I want to pick you up on that, just so we don't leave the wrong impression. So we shouldn't, therefore, deal with the fact that if I were on a matatu and I happened to be the last woman left, and there were a group of men on the matatu, and they stripped me and they violated me, we should not give it the same concern and treatment as a policeman who sees me and my mother, perhaps, on a matatu coming from church, and because I spur his advances, thinks that it is his right to strip me and assault me.
I think that all those are crimes, but there are misdemeanors that I've said that are instinctive.
Instinctive?
That are people take certain actions that are wrong on the spur of the moment. Not people who plan, let's go and get that matatu, take it there and strip those women. Now, there's a difference between what is called mens rea and actus rea in law. Pre-planned crime, which is the bigger issue that we're dealing with. The smaller ones, which I'm calling smaller in quote, are those which happen because they're happenings in society or criminal tendencies that are deviations from the norm.
Okay, so in general, then insecurity.
Let me also...
They're all crimes.
Just want to, these things are happening even in India. And the question you raised is if there's a CCTV and the faces of the people are known. In India, all those strange kind of rapes that has happened, the perpetrators have been arrested and brought to book.
Yes.
So, similarly, the same thing should happen here. Nobody will condone the issue of raping women, whether she is a grown-up woman or a young woman.
I think the sad thing
it's very strange. Something is wrong somewhere.
The sad thing is this, which, like the woman in the newspaper today, the one who was in Kayole selling eggs, she was asking for a change, and she was stripped, and she ended up in hospital. The Makanga people, the Taut who did that, they are still on the same street where she sells eggs. She sees them, and nothing has been done to them. That's where the sad thing is.
Now that
and then the response is the same, because she's not been able to get justice. But also with the terrorists, how many suspected terrorists have we had who have been freed on bond? Who have been given lenient...
Suspects will always be released, because unless you have charges that you can sustain against them, every suspect is not necessarily guilty, so they may be released. But the case where Mutegi is talking about, of a criminal action that, the evidence is there, witnesses are there, it is
The police have
amounts
done
to
nothing.
impunity. Now, that impunity is what is encouraging others to do the same things across. And in fact, stripping people is going to become a national...
Even today, something happened.
A distinction in the negative sense, because the government or the police force, security agents are not taking action, graphic action,
and the
to
point,
deter others.
Right. And the point, David, is that the inaction that we're seeing when it comes to women being stripped and violated is the same inaction we see when it comes to criminal gangs and enterprise, when it comes to terrorism.
It can be stretched like that. That's true. Now, the experience of Yusuf Haji, for having been in that system of security for a long time, if I was to get a prescription from you on how we can deal with this whole countrywide apparent insecurity that is festering. We've had people being killed and gangs in this city. We wiped out Mongiki by a hammer, but there's still resurgence of it, and groups alike. Looking at those days and now, things seem to be going worse. I don't know whether that's true.
Yes.
And two, what would you prescribe in terms of, if you were the one put in charge? Today, the president appoints you the presidential advisor on security affairs, and you have to give him a prescription on how to wipe out this insecurity. Any thoughts you might have off your head?
Would you accept the opposition?
What would you tell him?
What would you tell
accept
him?
it?
What are the quick things like this? You got to do this.
Well, the quick thing to do is really to find out, first and foremost, what is ailing the security machinery. Why are they not able to perform as is expected of them? Once you have found we have the symptom, once we have found the cure, we will be able to find the cure.
Yes.
But right now we are just passing the buck, blaming each other. Because as I said, the number of police have increased, the number of intelligence services have increased. Sometimes I ask myself, has this thing got to do with the merger of APs with the police? I ask myself. Because the rulers of this country before independence were not fools. When they established tribal police,
which is the AP,
I think it was equivalent to Homeland Police. They stayed with the people, they know their language, they behave the way people behave. They used to walk on foot. If I tell you, David, I was taken to school by a district officer who, for 1 month, was patrolling, inspecting the border between Kenya and Somalia from Dadaab to Ijara, about 250 kilometers. For 1 month, he was moving. How many of the current administrators ever go to a location, sleep at night there? They must have a good hotel to sleep. They must have a good car to travel in. They don't interact with the people. They don't even know the names of their chiefs. How do you expect those people to manage the security of this country? That is the problem, I'm telling you.
But you have said
we can find a solution.
You have said there are so many districts.
Yes.
Which means there are so many district commissioners.
Yes.
And there are so many chiefs.
Absolutely.
So we're not lacking the personnel. What we're lacking is the professionals.
It's true. What we're lacking is the organization, dedication, and the trust, trust for people to freely talk to these people and tell them what is wrong and what is happening.
Now, okay, you mentioned earlier on that we need to have a national conversation, discussion, dialogue around this. In your capacity as Senate and chairing the Security Committee there, is this not something that Senate can resolve and push to have executed by the state, by the executive?
We can do it in a smaller way by going, to all those areas But it will take a bit of time.
No, you can pass a resolution.
Yes.
I don't want it at the personal level.
Actually,
a resolution which
meeting,
says, look,
yes.
the state must do the following, and we are setting up a committee, and we are going to take hearings.
We have that idea.
And we get the chiefs of security
Okay.
to
David,
come here and tell us what the problem is.
Right.
We can actually come up
That's
with.
Actually,
getting-
to answer him,
Yes.
we are already meeting to have a select committee. A select committee, not only one committee, a select committee
Right.
of people with the knowledge and experience. Who can talk to the people can talk to them freely, so that we can find out what can be done in order to address the issue of security.
So we're moving into the way forward.
Yes.
So we'll do that after the break. You're watching Cheche. We're live on Citizen TV with our guest this morning, Senator Yusuf Haji, the Garissa Senator, but also the chair of the Senate Committee on Security. We'll be back shortly.